Strap in your seatbelts, guys and gals, because this is going to be a weird one. Now, this has been one of the topics that has been requested pretty much since the beginning of the show. And like I said, it's been highly requested, but I did want to give a special shout out to YouTube viewer Saravem. You made this request fairly recently, and I wanted to give you credit for it as well. When I started doing the Conspiracy Iceberg, a lot of people were asking for stuff like eggless travel. They were asking for stuff like Lord of the Rings based on real life, The Simpsons as a reality show. But one of the segments that they was requested, and I've covered all of those, was Bam Margera's Afterlife. Conspiracy Iceberg Chart is a chart we reference quite a lot on this show. The top of the iceberg are very well-known conspiracies. And as you go deeper and deeper into the water, you see lesser-known conspiracies. And Bam Margera's Afterlife floats around in the middle of there. Now, we're going to be getting into some crazy conspiracy theory stuff right now. Everything I'm going to read to you has been written by a real person. Somebody, and actually multiple people, believe these theories because I've seen them pop up from time to time over the course of months. I want to say off the bat, this is meant to be no disrespect to Ryan Dunn and Bam Margera and his friends and his family and his fans and all the people around the world who have lost people in automotive accidents at all. This is not the point of this. The point of this is to examine the insanity behind some of the conspiracy theories, and I think I actually have the answer for what Bam Margera Afterlife actually means. We'll get to that in a second, but first, imagine you're sitting in your living room. You're sitting in your living room, drinking a nice cup of Diet Cranberry Sprite. There's a knock at your door. You're like, it's kind of late. Why is there a dude coming to my door? You're assuming it's a man because of the long arms. You can almost tell whoever's knocking has long arms. You're like, that's weird. I can hear the elbow joint clacking. You get up, you open the door. There's a familiar face in front of you, but it's not exactly who you think it is. Now, previously, Hans stormed into our common bedrooms and berated us on the fact that we believed the monkeys were real. But this is not Hans. No, for legal reasons, because Hans didn't officially say any of this. This is his twin brother, Franz. Long arms, he still has the same long arms. Franz walks in to your living room. You don't invite him in. You don't even really know what's going on. He just walks in. He sits down. He looks around your room. You're like, damn it, not this again. He goes, oh, PlayStation 2, huh? You like playing the PlayStation 2? You're like, kind of an old school guy. He looks on your shelf. You have the Jackass video game, which is actually a great game for the PlayStation 2 if you haven't played it. I love that game. He goes, oh, Jackass, huh? And you're thinking, I have 50 games on my shelf. That's the one he sees. Yeah, Jackass. He goes, have you ever heard the story about Bam Margera's Afterlife? Because I have a couple theories about that. You're like, great. You go to take another drink of your Diet Cranberry Sprite. He actually picks the cup up before you, looks into it, and goes, refreshing. I need a little bit of liquid in my throat to tell you these conspiracy theories. Totally true conspiracy theories, according to some people. According to Franz. You're like, oh, great. He's talking to the third person now. Did you know, Franz says as he leans towards you. His voice changed, oddly enough, so I can differentiate between the characters. Did you know that Ryan Dunn, Bam Margera's best friend and castmate on the hit television show Jackass the movie, Jackass... Yeah, okay, dude, I know his filmography, just get to it. Okay, don't interrupt me, but did you know that Ryan Dunn was trying to get Bam to sacrifice his parents for eternity, but Bam's purity and love for his so-called parents had been tormenting him. Ryan Dunn, see, was never alive. He was an outer spirit that got in contact with Bam, and through possession, they found a suitable body while Viva La Bam and Jackass were being filmed. Did you know that? Did you know that people actually believe that happened? And you gotta sit back and you go, wait a second. Wait a second. So you're like, wait, no. So Bam and Ryan Dunn were best friends, but Ryan Dunn didn't even have a body until they were shooting Viva La Bam, which was way after Jackass. No. It was both. They were looking for a body in Jackass and Viva La Bam. But he was on the show Jackass, so who was that? Was that the body they found? Or was he looking for a new body? And why would Bam have to sacrifice his parents, that you referred to as so-called parents? Why would he have to sacrifice his parents if Ryan Dunn's just looking for a body? Was he going to go into the body of both of his parents? And Franz just kind of looks at you for a second and goes, I got another theory. You're right. That one's kind of foolish, even though a bunch of people believe in that one. And it's posted multiple times over the internet. I have another one. Did you know that Bam and his friends performed some sort of blood magic ritual and contacted the spirit of Ryan Dunn? I'm curious about that ritual. What could it have been? And, you sit back and you go, that is possible. That's possible. I think when anyone dies untimely, the loved ones, the people around them, will try to figure out, they'll go through a lot of stages, but I think quite a common one is, can I contact them? And I think, depending on the religious views of the person, some people may use a Ouija board, some people may go to a psychic or a medium, save your money, but some people may go on the internet and find some sort of ritual. Some people who are wealthy and well-connected, as the Jackass crew would be, could have paid someone to perform some sort of blood. That one is not out of the realm of possibility to me, because I think that would be pretty normal. I think that if someone really close to me died in a very tragic way, I would pull out all stops to see if I could contact them. I think that's totally a legit conspiracy theory. I don't necessarily think that it happened, but it wouldn't shock me if it did. Franz gets a big, wide smile on his face. It's a little too wide. It's a little toothy. He's like, yes, you believe everything now, don't you? The veil's been lifted. You've seen through them. And you're like, dude, I agreed with you on one thing. One thing, dude. Can I have my Diet Cranberry Sprite back now? And he goes, here, let me take another sip, and quickly, let me take another sip here. Hand you back an empty cup. Okay, so now I'm parched. You got clear liquid dripping off of your lips. You can leave now, right? You've told me one conspiracy theory that was completely bonkers that people believe in. You told me another conspiracy theory that, as tragic as it is something people do. You're done, right, Franz? You're right now. You're 1-1. That's a pretty good record for you. He goes, So he waves his finger in front of your face. Then he puts it to your lip to shush you, even though you're not talking. He's like, Leaves it there for quite a while. Tastes like wet dog. He goes, No, I'm not done yet. I have the biggest conspiracy theory. The one that has popped up the most on the internet is right here. You have a calculator? You're like, God damn it. No, I don't have a calculator. Well, good. Because calculators were invented by NASA, and NASA's the Illuminati. So, and then you kind of start to think about the abacus and the invention. No. Don't think about that stuff. Did you know? This is going to blow your mind. You're like, your voice has changed a little bit since a lot. Yeah, I'm still trying to work it out. It's pretty much just one take, if you guys haven't gotten used to that by now. So Franz looks you in the eyes, still holding his finger to your lip, and says, Ryan Dunn was driving a Porsche 911. Waits for you to be shocked. You're mostly just still annoyed that he's touching your face. He goes, wait, there's more? He died when he was 34 years old. 3 + 4 =... He waits for you to respond in simple math. You knock his hand away and go, it equals 7. 7, yeah, it equals 7. Yes. 7. It equals 7. Where are you going with this? He was born on June 11th, 19... And you're like, let me guess, 77. Yes, 1977. And he was killed on June 20th. You're like, it's not 2077. He goes, no. 2011. So you see, we have 6/11/77 and 6/20 11. Leans back in his chair, incredibly satisfied at the fact that he remembers these dates. Okay, what does that mean? Oh, no. 20 minus 11 is 9. 77 minus 11 is 66, which 6/6, born June, died June, born on 11th day, died year 11. Date was 20, and you're like, okay, dude, enough of the math. What you're telling me is that this was some sort of important date, and numerology was used for his sacrifice. Yes, I'm telling you that, and I'm glad that you said that, because even I was getting bored by saying all of those numbers. Did you know that he died around 3 a.m.? 3 a.m.? That's a satanic time on your clock. 3 a.m., everybody knows that. Even JoJo, the precocious little YouTube star, makes videos about being up at 3 a.m. Everyone knows that 3 a.m. is haunted, right? And you're just like, okay, well, there's a couple questions I have with this one. One, what's around 3 a.m.? Because you think the devil would want to be a little more precise than just around. Was it 2:50? Was it 3:45? Oh, 3:30. 3:30, okay? That's not really around 3 a.m., but close enough. Secondly, did he die in Jerusalem? Like, this is a question that I've always had. 3 a.m. being the witch's hour, or 3 a.m. because supposedly Jesus died at 3 p.m., so it's like the inverse. That would only be significant in any sort of way if you were in Jerusalem. Because when it was 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is not the complete opposite of when Jesus died. First off, Jesus didn't die at 3 p.m., but I mean, was that aside? The idea that there is a particular hour that happens 365 times a year, and across every time zone, the idea that I could be like in the Colorado Rockies and it's 3 a.m. and a witch is chasing me, or a satanic cult, they're like, we have to kill him within the 3 a.m. And I run to California and I'm like, got away from them, and they're like, no, now you're in Pacific Standard Time. It's still 3 a.m. Like, it's utterly ridiculous that a particular hour of the day has any sort of significance, because one, it happens every single day, and two, it's different in every single time zone. By that logic, some sort of Illuminati cult could just blow a dude's brains out in Japan, and a researcher over here would be like, well, he died at 2 in the afternoon. There's nothing significant about that. Case closed. But over there is 3 a.m. It doesn't make any sense. I always think it's ridiculous when people try to tie in time. It's all ridiculous. But I've seen this a lot where they're like, 3 a.m. is a sacred hour for Satan worshipers. In what time zone? It's utterly ridiculous. And it's not that sacred if it happens every single day. Anyways, that rant aside. Sorry, JoJo, that I'm ruining your 3 a.m. videos. I'm sure you'll get by. Even though some podcaster is basically putting the kibosh on your YouTube series. That being said, let's go ahead. I'm sorry, Franz, I went off on you. Franz is kind of scared. He's like, whoa, that's probably the most animated I've seen Jason in quite a while. Do you know how fast he was going? Franz says as he regains his composure. Let me guess, it either had a 3 or a 7 or maybe 911 miles an hour. He was going 130 miles per hour. Okay. 13. There's a 13 in it. Okay, Franz, you're kind of pushing your luck here. Do you know where he passed away at? No, it's unfortunate that I even have to have this conversation with you, honestly, Franz, because this happens quite a lot. There are motor accidents. He got in a car accident on Route 322. So, 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. Or 22 plus 3 is 25. So are you telling me now that 25 is a sacred number? I don't know. It's just written down in these notes that I have. Somebody thought it was significant. Many people think this is significant because it's been posted everywhere. I'm just repeating it as Franz. And, oddly enough, 322 is the number assigned to the Skull and Bones Society. Try to dispute that, smarty pants. So, the Skull and Bones Society, just for a little bit of reference, is a secret society. It is totally true. It's a secret society at Harvard, I believe. It might be Yale, but I'm pretty sure it's Harvard. They have the bones of the Indian chief Geronimo, and they dug them up, and they have them in their little headquarters at school. Notable members of Skull and Bones was President George W. Bush and what's the term? He ran for president Democrat. It was John Kerry, and he was Secretary of State and all that stuff. So, it is a real group. Their real number is 322, and Ryan Dunn did die on Route 322. Why a Harvard secret society that has presidents as former members would want to kill a star of a show that was no longer on the air, nobody can explain in this conspiracy theory. And that's really the core of this. People have taken this tragic event and assigned all these numbers, using these real numbers, assigning all these numbers to it, and saying this is why Ryan Dunn died. He was a blood sacrifice to the Illuminati. But why him? You could take any traffic accident. I think you probably have caught on by this trick by now. You can take any accident and assign variables to the numbers and come up with these type of combinations. Because the questions that we don't have, the numbers that we don't have, if they could say he was going 130 miles an hour, what was his RPMs? What type of brakes were on the car? What was the model number of the seat covers? How many gallons of gas did he have in his car? If those numbers match to make some Illuminati connection, they'd be in here. But they don't, so there aren't. If there was 13 gallons of gas in the gas tank, we would have heard about it. If there was 4 gallons of gas, it doesn't fit the narrative, so the people who believe this leave it out. That's the key to all this stuff. That's the key to any of these numerology codes when you see connected to any sort of conspiracy theories. They cherry pick. So, but Franz has one more card up his sleeve. His long sleeve shirt, he has one more card. He pulls it out. He says, no. See, all the information I've already told you is the information that has been spread all over the internet, hasn't been disputed by anyone but you. You think you're so smart. But here's the key. You say the dates are cherry-picked. You say, why would they want to do this? Why would George W. Bush care about Ryan Dunn? But he was killed at the beginning of the summer solstice, you see. June 21st is one of the Illuminati's highest human sacrifice nights. That is why they killed him. They killed him for the Illuminati on one of their great holidays called Litha. June 21st, the start of the summer solstice. It wasn't random at all, Franz says, and then goes, huzzah! And that's when you remember that when he was running the numbers and the numerology and all that stuff, and actually listed the date of Ryan Dunn's death, it's June 20th is when he died. The day before this supposed Illuminati human sacrifice night. Franz, please leave. Actually, no, Franz, I want you to stick around. I want you to stick around for a second. Because despite all the nonsense you said, we have learned one thing about the conspiracy iceberg. It isn't the word soup we thought it was. A lot of times when we first started looking at the conspiracy iceberg, we thought it was just random words put together. And it turns out that a lot of them do have some basis in, and they have an origin story. So what is Bam Margera's afterlife? I found it. And it's very mundane, but it is what that phrase means. No blood rituals, no made-up Illuminati stuff. It's just a real young man dealing with the loss of another young man, and in the end, finding some sort of peace in it. I'm going to have all the links here below in the show notes. On March 30th, 2015, so far predating the first conspiracy iceberg, on Bam Margera's Facebook page, he posted a Facebook post entitled, "This guy saw the afterlife while he was in a coma." What? And the link is gone. It was to link to something called tv.bammargera.com. The actual link in the Facebook page is gone. But he did leave a description above. He said, "This neurosurgeon's whole life changed in a week flat. Unreal." And I'm using that limited amount of information. I was able to find what I believe the article he was talking about. It's from October 24th, 2012. And it is the typical story, and I don't mean to dismiss it in that, but it's a typical story of a man who did go into a coma, a neurosurgeon specifically, who went into a coma, he had E. coli, and he went into a week-long coma, and his brain wasn't functioning. And they're like, listen, if he comes out of this, he's going to be brain damaged, but he may not come out of it. And in that time, he believes that he went to heaven. Let's take a quick look at his description here. My first memories from when I was deep inside, I had no language. All my earthly memories were gone. I had no body awareness at all. I was just a speck of awareness in kind of a dark, murky environment, in roots or vessels or something. And I seemed to be there for a very long time. I would say years. I was rescued by this beautiful spinning white light that had a melody, an incredibly beautiful melody with it that opened up into a bright valley. An extremely verdant valley with blossoming flowers and just an incredible, rich, ultra-real world of indescribable complexity. Then, okay, so you're like, oh, that's very peaceful. Then it gets a little weird. A woman and him climb on the back of a butterfly and fly across space and time. So, I mean, which is fine. It's a beautiful image, but what if you hate butterflies? And then he's talking about this girl. This woman kind of looked at him. She looked at me, and this is a quote here. She looked at me, and this was with no words, but the concepts came straight into mind. You are loved. You are cherished. There's nothing you have to fear. There's nothing you can do wrong. And it's just this peaceful, and then he, comes back to life, obviously, to tell us all this story. And then, you have the little Twilight Zone plot twist, though. I gotta throw this in, even though I think it totally makes the story 10 times more unbelievable. So, he comes back to life. And the neurosurgeon is, at some point in time, showing a photo of a sister that he had never met or seen before. And the girl in the photograph was the girl in heaven. Okay. I mean, I guess it's possible if you're flying on the back of a butterfly wing. I'm not trying to poo-poo on this guy's story, but that makes it that made me roll my eyes. Like the rest of it, I was like, oh, he was experiencing something peaceful. I think that's where Bam Margera Afterlife came from. The conspiracy theory is this. It's not even a conspiracy theory. It's just kind of a sad story, really, when you step back from it. A young man lost his best friend and was not dealing with it very well. Bam Margera's self-destructive tendencies are well documented, and this made things worse. But sometimes when we lose somebody, finding a story like this about this neurosurgeon, or finding a story about somebody that is not like a religious fanatic, but just a quote-unquote normal person having this spiritual experience can bring peace to you. To prep this episode, I tried to see what Bam Margera's religion was. I couldn't really pull anything up. But imagine you're agnostic, or you're just kind of like, yeah, I kind of believe in God, but I don't really. And then something absolutely tragic happens, and you think, oh my God, like, what happened to my best friend? And then you find someone who's also like, hey, listen, I'm not a religious person, but I died for a week, and it's absolutely beautiful on the other side. And that would give you a sense of peace. That would give you a sense of hope. That your friend just didn't end, but became part of something bigger. And so I think that is what that refers to, not the Illuminati nonsense. Not all conspiracy theories are about fear. Sometimes they're about hope. And those are kind of the jewels that you find looking at conspiracy theories. A lot of them are very dark and they deal with death and intrigue, but every so often you'll come across one like the Tree of Souls or the Book of Soiga, or 2 episodes I did where it's very hopeful conspiracy theories. They're not about endings, but new beginnings. And I thought this was a good segment to end on as we come up to the end of 2018. That was a clip from our daily podcast, Dead Rabbit Radio. Dead Rabbit Radio is available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. It's daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime news. If you want to hear the full episode that this clip came from, check the link below. Please like and subscribe. And hit that little bell, too. That does some magical stuff. Thanks, guys.